On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to yet another episode on productlessons.com, a podcast channel on building software products and the business around products. And if you are listening on YouTube, but rather prefer to listen on audio only podcast, you will find us on SoundCloud as well. The link is in the description below. In YouTube, I categorize my content into different sections. Today's episode is under product entrepreneurship category, where we talk to product founders and entrepreneurs. Before we proceed, I would like you to click subscribe, because when you subscribe, YouTube helps me reach out to larger audience, and with all the valuable lessons and insights that we learn from valuable guests, it makes sense to let their message reach out to a lot more audience. So with that, I'm very excited about introducing today's guest. He is Avelo Roy, and Avelo, I came to know of him in the recent months. He's a tech entrepreneur, investor, TV host. He's a TEDx speaker too. He's a man of many accomplishments, a serial entrepreneur who has built close to 8 businesses in the US, with multi-million dollars worth of products and services ranging from consumer electronics, AI systems, healthcare, process automation, food, wireless, you name it all. So currently, Avelo Roy runs the largest startup incubator in East India, Kolkata Ventures, with 400 plus revenue generating startups. He has been listed as 40 must-follow people in Indian startup ecosystem by Bizstore. So join me in welcoming him. Let me pull him into the screen here. Hi, Avelo. Welcome to productlessons.com. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ravi. Nice to thank you for inviting me. Very, very glad to be here.
Again, thanks for your time on a Sunday morning. This is, I'm as you know, I'm dialing in from Germany. It's still morning here. I just wanted to, before we get into the topic for today, I'm very, very curious to know about your career and life journey, so to say, because that will set the context of our conversation. So why don't you just help us navigate through your life, maybe?
Yeah, well, born in a Bengali family in Kolkata, grew up in a Christian missionary school while pursuing spirituality in my own way, and then got Cambridge educated with my A levels, O levels, and then went to US to do my computer engineering. First year there, ran for elections, won to be the VP of Academic Affairs. So that was my little bit of political stint, college campus. And then while building those relationships, leveraged that to build my first startup while still a college student at the age of 19. And then exited that startup. By the time I was 22 years old, by the time it was already a $1 million+ valued company. And thereafter, 8 businesses, like you mentioned, multiple things. Also was on the board of a panel on the White House panel for Entrepreneurship Education in the Obama administration. Also over here, came back to India in 2016, and quickly the startup India movement was starting out, and that's when I started Kolkata Ventures. And it's been a wonderful journey supporting the ecosystem, starting with Kolkata, Bengal, East India, and now we are in 5 countries. So we are in the US collaboration, supported by the Indian government as well as the US government. And I was also the advisor to the Prime Minister of Nepal on behalf of the Indian government when he got elected, and he was just figuring out the economy and whatnot. So I was the startup advisor for him. So long story short, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of products, a lot of services, multiple countries, spirituality being the foundation of it all, and then sprouting it into more in a giving back form through Kolkata Ventures. I still have multiple other businesses, a manufacturing business, consulting business, but Kolkata Ventures is what I'm known for right now because of its presence and the branding that it has.
Right. So what makes you stand out is your spiritual foundation, and that is something that I did not want to miss out on asking to you. And before that, maybe what would also help is understanding your influences, early influences on what shaped you to become what you are today. An interesting mix of entrepreneurship and venture world, startups, and also backed by a strong spiritual foundation guided by Bhagavad Gita, which you are a strong practitioner of. So could you help us? How did all of this shape you?
When I was 5 years old, I got two conflicting messages from my father and mother. My father says, "You're born and you die, and that's about it." And my mother says, "There's way more than that." Right? And I, as a child, I was like, who to take it? Is it my father right? Is my mother right? So I chose my own journey, and I started meditating, and I started reading, and so my journey started really early as a 5-year-old boy. I still remember in Calcutta, load shedding used to be very, very common. Power cuts and all. So that was by times when I would just close my eyes, and it's like pitch dark, nobody's talking. You just get into that zone. So when I went to the US, oddly enough, after leaving India, I finally found my mentor who guided me in understanding the Bhagavad Gita in a very logical way. And at the same time, my parents were getting separated, right? So I was in the US, having no relatives there. And my father and mother separated. So my funding got cut from my father's side. And this was basically a battle for a teenager. Imagine being in a foreign country, and you could potentially have to go back without completing your education. So that was a very scary situation. So in that time, exactly, Bhagavad Gita came. And when I saw the Bhagavad Gita, that Arjun had the same situation. He was in dilemma, whether I should fight the war or should I run away. And the whole Bhagavad Gita was Krishna telling Arjun to fight the war. And so I had the option to run away, or fight and stay. So I fought. And I managed my finances, scholarships, loans, whatever else I could manage. And while doing that, started my startup, right? Knowing that I will not get a job. So when you have a loan, you're supposed to pay that loan back. When you have a startup, you cannot pay anything for a long time. And the visa, right? You don't get visa for startups in America. So it was all kinds of like pressure, which actually built me up. So I hacked the system in an ethical way, in a legal way, and got my H-1B visa under my own company, thanks to my American co-founder, and many other things. So it all got figured out, but the foundation was Bhagavad Gita. So it influenced me so deeply that I promised to myself that if I come out of this dark zone that I was in, that I will dedicate my life to helping the next generation, right, get educated in the Bhagavad Gita. So even now in the US, I have my Bhagavad Gita courses, classes, and in India also we do Philosophy Friday. Every Friday, 7:30 p.m. All our entrepreneurs of Kolkata Ventures and other places, they come together. We study the Bhagavad Gita, how to apply it practically, not like a book covered in red cloth and worship, but actually open the book, read the philosophy, understand it, and apply it on a day-to-day life. Become a better manager, a better CEO, a better leader, a better son, a better daughter, a better husband, better everything as a human. It's a life's manual. So that's how it influenced me, and I tend to be a little influential on that level with the Bhagavad Gita, with whoever I connect with. Of course, I don't shove it down people's throat who don't want to listen. But at the same time, if somebody's a friendly person and becomes my friend, obviously they ask me why I don't drink, why I don't smoke, why I'm a vegetarian being a Bengali, right? All of those questions. and now naturally this topic comes up, and it's always nice to share.
Interesting. Didn't know you were a vegetarian. I'm married to a Bengali too.
Really?
My wife is also Bong. I'm not.
You know how rare it is to find a Bengali vegetarian.
Exactly. So interesting, quite interesting. I have another podcast which is called Success Series. So I have two podcasts. One is on product and product businesses, product management, and stuff like that, because I'm a product manager too. I have another podcast on Success Series where we try to understand the secrets of success for successful people. And you fitted into both, but I could only interview on one of the shows. But I would still ask you questions on. So you have this inherent drive that never dies down, right? I've seen your videos in your social media presence. You have that inherent drive which just does not fade, and you have had immense success for your age. So you are a man of many accomplishments. So what is the source of it all? For accomplishments, I know you are driven by helping other people as well, but you have had your own share of successes. So what do you think is the secret for your drive and success?
It's survival, Ravi. I was not the best student, to be honest. And if I didn't do a startup, to be honest, I didn't have any other option. I would not get hired by a good company, and that would not be a good life. So my only option was either succeed in startup or die. A lot of times entrepreneurs, when they lack that fire in the belly, the eagerness to succeed, I tell them to get a job, because if that's not there, all the rejections and the failures and everything else that happens will kill you, right? So for me, survival was and still is, because looking back, I don't have somebody supporting me. Generally, people have a father or a system in place. They come from a certain family. I have only me to look at. And so that is, of course, there's God, there's Krishna, no question about that. So that way, it's the survival instinct that I have to keep going. If I stop, I will die, right? And now I have other people also depending on me, so I cannot fail them. So that's also a survival in one aspect, an emotional survival, you can say. So that's what the fire in the belly too. So survival of the fittest, that's what human beings are, right? That's how we have become who we are. So we have to have that instinct that I have to survive, I have to succeed.
So there is survival, okay, which is like bare bones, and then there is thriving. Okay, I mean, you obviously you are not just surviving, you are thriving, you are pushing yourself. So that is something most people lack. And
mentally, I keep that as a survival, even though I'm not on the survival mode. So when people get funded, I always tell them, keep the bootstrapping mentality alive. The reason why is, you might be having a cushy, flushed with cash, with investment and all that. But if you keep the mentality, then you will always be creative, because survival forces you to creatively think, be frugal with your money, and find ways that you wouldn't otherwise find, right? So yes, I'm not surviving, you're right, but at the same time, the mentality is of survival, because I know from Bhagavad Gita, everything that God has given you can be taken away also. Correct. I cannot afford to be proud and intoxicated with pride. So the mode of survival is that it can all be taken away, so let me make sure it all can be sustained. I've seen, so for example, Airbnb, they were supposed to go public this year. They're planning to file for bankruptcy. And Airbnb is not the only company.
Right.
So they said 12 years of hard work, what they did, 6 months of coronavirus destroyed them, right? And that's the survival instinct that I know from Bhagavad Gita. They didn't know that, right? But our heritage teaches us that whatever you have, no matter how strong and robust it looks, it can be taken away. So be prepared.
Wow, this is
so nicely, because when you have nothing, these people will actually help you become something again.
Got it. And now I'm realizing the power of your foundation, your spiritual foundation, and because that prepares you for the world, right? So absolutely, it just balances it out. So you spend a lot of time with founders, entrepreneurs. I just wanted to know if there is a certain mental makeup to become an entrepreneur, or people are mostly driven by the glamour side of it, okay, the output or the result side of it, and jump into it, and then they realize they're not made for it. So do you see that it is a nature, or do you think entrepreneurs can also be built by nurture? What are your thoughts around it?
Nurture saves you time. Or rather, I should say, nature saves you time. Like, for example, if you have a certain killer instinct, if you're good with numbers, if you're good with like people's skills, it helps. But nurture can also build you up. Like, I was a complete introvert to the point I couldn't talk to anyone, not even the guy who opens your door or drives your car, right? I couldn't talk to anyone when I was pre-US, right? Post-US, I was forced, because of the survival instinct, I was forced to pitch to VCs and investors. The guy who couldn't talk had to pitch, get rejected, keep pitching till you raise the money. So what happens is, the mentality that you need as an entrepreneur is the love for solving a problem. That problem that you're solving needs to be bigger than yourself. You know how in India people get very patriotic, right? And that becomes something larger than life. Every movie is about patriotism and India, Pakistan, and all of that. Why? Because it's something that's larger than yourself. So when your problem that you're solving for the market that's larger than yourself, that drive generally makes you successful. The other side, the glamour and the glitz, most people who go for the glamour and the glitz, they realize that it's not going to come for the next 5 years. That Ferrari is not coming, the beach house is not coming for the next 5 years, and they give up because that's where they were focused on, and they're not going to get that so quickly, and the hard work that's required to get there, they don't have that, so they give up. So there's entrepreneurs and there's entrepreneurs, right? But the thing is, even being an entrepreneur, there is no loss, because you learn so much in 1 year of entrepreneurship that you won't learn in 10 years of MBA, right? So it's absolutely worth giving it a try, even if it's for the glitz and the glamour. But what sustains you over time is that mentality of the larger picture, the problem that you're solving, that feeling, that connectedness with that problem that's larger than life, it's larger than yourself. That pulls you through.
Got it. I will be mixing and matching my questions, all right, randomly.
Sure.
So somebody who has many accomplishments, how does it? So you talked about survival instincts, but how do you plan your life, Avelo? Do you set yourself ambitious yearly goals, annual goals? You have 5-year goals. What keeps you ticking in terms of achieving those milestones on a consistent basis?
So there is, I generally put 12-month goals, right? Break it down into quarters, break it down into months, days, that way. So weekly, I have certain goals aligned with the 12-month goals. And that way, every day I have 3 things to 4 things that I want to accomplish. And after I do that, I can do more. But 3 or 4 things every day on my to-do list, I try to accomplish. So that way, what happens, it's a systematic process. It's a methodical process. And you accomplish without much of a rush at the last minute, or the urgency. I have to meet my numbers, KPI, nothing like that. So it's on a daily basis that's there. But at the same time, Corona is not just a rare phenomena. It happens where everything kind of shuts down. So generally, it's not like worldwide shutdown. It's your startup that got hit by a thunderbolt, right? Some investor backed off, or your product failed, something like that, which is Corona for you. Right? So in those situations, what happens is you need to learn that those things will happen. Things take longer than expected, and you plan accordingly. Give that cushion. So I don't plan 5 years, to be honest with you. I plan 1 year, and I also keep some room for those kinds of failures to happen. Things I don't know that will happen. Things I know I take care of, and accordingly we plan things ahead. And also, spirituality comes in a very important way, because the lifestyle that I lead, the food that I eat, it's sattvic food, right? The kind of sleep, the kind of lifestyle I lead, it doesn't hurt my body. So my body doesn't have a lot of stress. Meditation practice I have, right? Even if things are falling flat, I'll be cool as a cucumber. So what happens is my body doesn't go through so much effort that I have to sleep a lot. So I sleep far less than most people. I have more time in the day, which makes me more effective. And my mind is controlled because of meditation. So I can accomplish more than an average person in a less time. So that productive aspect, along with the goals, putting together, it makes me, it allows me to do a lot of different things. Like you said, TV show, TEDx Talks, multiple companies, mentorship, spirituality, all of that can be done because I can do a lot more than an average person. So high performance, is something that I have advantage over others.
And is your discipline self-driven, or do you have systems in place like mentors who keep a close check on you?
So my first 10 years, it was very much on a mentor-mentee kind of a basis, where I had to get guidance on a daily or a weekly basis. Now I call my mentor from a spiritual mentor.
Okay.
Yeah. But now I'm more on my own. And my spiritual mentor, maybe once a month, I'll call him. There's something emotional, some dilemma, like, should I fire this person or not? Am I being too pushy? Am I being unethical? Because, how do I get, of course, it's all legal, but within legality also, there is ethical and unethical, right? So those kinds of questions I ask my mentor, which are beyond me. But things that I have already, the basics are cleared, the doubts are cleared, so I can self-regulate myself after 15 years of practicing what I do. But yeah, there was a time where I was going through very nice and comfortable guidance, hand-holding, as you call it.
Got it. So you mentor a lot of entrepreneurs as well, and I'm sure you'd want to see them succeed. What are the few things the foundational things that you tell entrepreneurs, first-time entrepreneurs, uh, to guarantee or at least make them more successful than if they had not got those traits? So, what are those things, foundational things that you say?
Yeah. So my mantra that I give entrepreneurs is think big, start small, grow slow, then grow fast. Right. So you have a grand vision. You think really, really big. Like Steve Jobs, 1977, he said computer will be a screen with one button. 2007 or 2008, iPad came out. 30 years before iPad, he knew iPad would be. So think really big. Right. Uh, Start small, start with the low hanging fruit. People try to make that big dream happen in 1 year. That doesn't work generally. So you start small with the low hanging fruit, you figure out what is your minimum viable product, then you grow slow. In the growth process, now that you've validated your idea, you're growing, you're going to make mistakes, don't repeat the mistakes, and come to a point where you don't make mistakes as often. And that's when you have a scalable, repeatable business model. When you have a scalable, repeatable business model, grow really fast, take in venture money, VC money, and this is when people will start copying you because you're scalable. And this is when you take all the money, grow with marketing and sales. Crazy, right? So that's the basic tenets of what I give people when you're starting out.
Right. One of the things that has always made me curious about you is you have also this mantra of you don't need a lot of startup money, initial seed fund to get an idea out or a product
Mhm.
out. So that's why I also named this talk today how to start a product with zero money. So
Mhm.
how can you build something with zero money?
It applies to digital. It sort of applies to physical also. So in the digital world, so okay, let's go back to my early days, right? So I didn't have money. In fact, I was in debt when I was building my product. The way I built product, I had the best designers, so I was building a physical product. So think about Apple Watch 10 years before Apple Watch, right? In the form of a necklace. So it was a physical product. So there was hardware, software, firmware, right? All of these being designed and manufactured in China. So all of that I didn't pay anything for. It was zero. What was I paying with? Currency of relationship, or people call it commerce of relationship, where I was like, hey, look at this. Some people take equity, or some people just see the dream, deferral payment, even filing for patents. My lawyer said, Avelo, it was my final exams, my fourth year in college. And he said, time's running out. We cannot wait. Either you file for patent or you won't get it. I said, I don't have the money. I don't have anything right now. He said, fine, I'll pay for it. He paid $18,000 for the patents in US, UK, Japan, right? Currency of relationship. In 10 months or so, when we got funded, we took care of that, right? And there were other people who are like 50, 60 years old, who are 40 years old, who are product developers, who are product managers, who are brilliant in what they do. We're teenagers, we know nothing, right? And they are the best in what they do. And they work for us, I wouldn't say free, but for a vision looking forward. Like, okay, these guys succeed, we will also succeed. We'll succeed together, right? And that's what led to the success of what we built. So the point is, if you're nice to people, if you can inspire people, they will see the vision you see, and they will come on board to build what you need to build. Now, for digital products, you don't even need that. In today's world, you have, as long as you have a laptop, internet, and phone, right, which most people do, even in poor places, right? So you will be able to build whatever you want. There's WordPress, so don't build an app first of all, because to even get people to download the app is so difficult that even Make My Trip and Amazon pays 500 rupees just to make sure you download the app.
Right.
So that's a friction. So build a mobile friendly website. You can do that in 2 hours using WordPress, right? Test people out. If my product and service is really gelling with people, run a Facebook ad. It can cost you less than 100 rupees a day, right? See who's the demographic who's reacting to your ad. That's how you know who's your target audience, right? Slowly you figure out my product market fit. Once you figure out the product market fit, you go gung-ho with the marketing. You get customers money. You start with zero money, you grow with your customers money, you scale with investor money. That's the secret.
Got it. So a lot of employees who are listening to this conversation, They always wish to plunge into entrepreneurship, but they are never able to bring themselves up to that risk. Okay, because they have for years been in a safe world, a safe monthly income, so to say, and to get rid of that and get into uncertainty of a career in entrepreneurship stops a lot of people. So, what do you think are a few checklists or readiness when an employee can say, "I'm ready to take the plunge"? Is it so? You said you were in debt when you started your first product,
Right.
but a lot of employees would want to keep themselves safe because they have to pay their rent, maybe, or EMIs. What are your some of the suggestions that you would give a regular employee who wants to take the plunge?
Sure. First, check your employment contract. Make sure you're not competing. If you sign a non-compete agreement, you're not competing with your current company. Make sure you do that. Number two, make sure that the company didn't sign with you intellectual property protection, like whatever you invent during your employment, the company owns it, right? If that's the case, that's a problem. If those two things are okay and you can still start a startup while working in a company, I would suggest do that. Don't quit your job. Spend 2 hours a day, Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe 4 hours, maybe 5 hours, right? A little bit more, and start building your startup, because the initial phase you're doing market research, you're doing product development, and I know many people who are working in Gojek, in Amazon, and LinkedIn, and these guys remotely get together on evenings, every evening, build their product, already has million users, million downloads, and still haven't gotten any funding, doesn't need funding. They're working in companies, built a product, making money, right? So it's very much possible with Zoom and everything. People can collaborate from different, you can have the best people working with you 2 hours a day, 4 hours to 5 hours on the weekend. And once you reach 30% of your salary through the revenue of your product, that's the best way, the best time to plunge full time into your startup and quit your job. Because then you have validated, and now you're going gung-ho into it, where you're like, okay, now I have to make this work because I have to pay my rent and my insurance and my utilities and everything else.
Got it. So that means if you have been able to generate 30% of your salary with 20% of your time, that is working 2 hours after your day job, then there is a possibility that when you jump full time, you would be able to make a lot, right? So that's a good rule of thumb then. So help us understand what Kolkata Ventures is into and how does it work? How do entrepreneurs come to you? If you can just explain us, that would be great.
Sure. So Kolkata Ventures is there's three aspects to it. There's entrepreneurship education, there's seed funding, and there is resources, right? So entrepreneurship education is basically some of the things I shared with you, from ideation to launch. What are the different things? Identifying the market segmentation, market research, all the way down to product development, go-to-market strategy, exit strategy, investment strategy, etc. So that people go through. And then so there's the incubation process, right, where there's idea stage incubation, growth stage incubation, and then there's scale up. So in the process we take them, so there's method to the madness. So basically, when you're an entrepreneur, one of the biggest things happens is, okay, you've all your life been told by a teacher what to do, parents what to do, your boss what to do. Suddenly you're free, and you're like watching Netflix, and you shouldn't be doing it during daytime. You're like, hey, I have my freedom, right? So you're not accountable. The accountability part is lacking.
Yeah.
So what happens is, what we do is we set milestones for you. We set a goal. Okay, in the 4 months you're going to reach this, and every phone call, which is every 2 weeks, you will have broken down milestones. So that what happens is, before the call, they know they have to show results, right? And if they cannot show results for genuine reasons, we'll help them with resources so they can show results on the next phone call. So that way, there is a method to the madness. There is a streamlined effort. So, and also we provide a bunch of resources, right? Because we have 400 plus startups. Paytm gives you 1 lakh a month free in gateway fees. Amazon gives you AWS credits worth of $35,000. So like that, there's so many companies, lawyers, developers, designers, accountants, everybody gives a 20 to 40% discount because we have volume, right? So you get everything under one roof. So all your resources are here, your mentorship is here, you know exactly what to do. So the success potential is far higher than average. So in most cases, 98% failure rate. In Kolkata Ventures, our success rate is more than 60%,
Wow.
right? And there's a reason for that. We select the best folks and we give them the science of startups. So that way, the success rate is very high.
So, what are your filters when you say select the best folks? Saying they are the best. How do you pick your bet?
There's many things, but there's one thing I definitely ask is like, if your near and dear one, let's say father or mother, passes away, will you quit your job for the next 6 months, or would you stick with it? Quit your startup for the next 6 months, will you stick with it? And if the answer is, oh no, I'll take a break and this is, I'm going to recover, blah blah blah, then that's a good indication that the mental strength is not there to build a startup. Of course, some people fake it also, right? And the other side is also about the skill level. We want to see that you are skilled. Not necessarily IIT, IIM kind of skill, but skill as in like, okay, even if you're a fresh out of college, what have you done during college which is outside classrooms? Whether it's your own project, you've built something, like one of the guys, he has already built 50 apps and his last app has 50,000 downloads.
Wow.
Right? He has not even graduated from college. So is he going to be successful? If his ego can be tamed, then yes, he can be successful.
Right.
Right? More likely to be. So those are the two things, is the dedication and the skill level.
Got it. Excellent. Cool. So for somebody who is not in the startup world, in the venture world, it might seem that the venture space and the startup space, especially in India, is very crowded. So at what stage of maturity is the ecosystem is? Do you still see a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities, or it is overcrowded? How do you see this?
Yeah. I mean, the best part about the overcrowded part, the people who are the entrepreneurs, is that they're really stupid. I mean, I don't mean to be sounding rude, but they're really stupid. They will email the VC. I mean, I get so many messages like that. Sir, will you give me 20 lakhs? Now, they have not told me who they are. They've not told me what the startup is. They've not told me anything about themselves. The first line is, will you give me 20? Will you fund my business? So obviously, it's very easy to eradicate when you get 200 messages. It's like hit block, unfriend, block, whatever you want to do, get them out, cancel. So as a result, yes, it's overly crowded when it comes to the motivational speakers, right? People who are like serial entrepreneur. I failed in 3 startups, and but when it comes to real entrepreneurs, it's still a pretty. So investors struggle to find good entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs struggle to find good employees. So it's not crowded, I can tell you that. It's very difficult to find a good entrepreneur who's skilled and dedicated. It's very difficult to find an employee who's skilled and will stick with the company, right? So it's constant struggle because it's just crowded with so much Josh flow that anybody with half a brain can understand this guy is an idiot and this guy is going to just destroy my company. And this guy is dedicated soul, high skill, high will, right? Warren Buffett says high energy, high intelligence, and high ethics.
Right.
Without ethics, energy and skill can be very dangerous. It's like poison, right? So ethics is also very important. Very hard to find that combination, Ravi, and I personally struggle a lot. So still in India, if you look at it, 90% rejection rate, 95% rejection rate, 5% get funded. That's why.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, when I see, suppose education space, especially post-COVID, education space is booming. The likes of Baiju and other competitors.
That's not booming. When you're hearing in the news, that's 5 or 6 names. Toppers, Baiju, something, right? The fact that they're in the news, that means they're way above the average. You will say booming when the average is booming. Like in any economy, when the middle class rises up, we say the economy is booming.
Right.
Every country has billionaires.
Got it.
That doesn't mean it's booming. So yeah, there's always going to be toppers, Baijus, and other folks like that. But when you see even the small guys, like in Kolkata Ventures, we thrive on the companies making anywhere between a few lakhs a month, to few 20, 30, 40 lakhs a month, right? We don't have the unicorns. And that's great because these guys create jobs.
Got it. Yeah.
We have
and this is
4,500 new jobs in this area. So the point is that's booming. When you can create an economy where even the small players get the resources, get the
Right.
knowledge, get the hand holding to flourish and create opportunities for others.
That's such an important point you made, especially the Germany. Germany is a real case study on that, because when you say German economy is strong and it can survive any kind of recession, it's because the smaller and micro sectors are strong. Okay, you do not. Of course, there are here and there big companies, big corporate like SAP and stuff like that, but you will see numerous small SMEs that are thriving, and that is what makes the economy solid. Unlike India, where the diversity between the haves and the have-nots, especially in the economic opportunity, especially in entrepreneurship, is way too wide. So yeah, that's a good point that you made. So if somebody wants to approach you and not make a fool of himself by saying, "Give me funding," what is the best way of preparedness before he reaches out to you? And also, who can reach out to Kolkata Ventures? Is it only startups around Bengal, or how
No,
is
no,
it?
no, no, no. Like I said, we are in 5 countries. We even have
Okay.
incubates in Germany as well.
Okay.
So the point is, you just go to kolkataventures.com and apply for incubation. It's that simple,
Got
right?
it.
If you're going to reach out to me, come on LinkedIn, right? And please don't ask for money in the first sentence. So it's not just for me. Any person who has accomplished something in life has an ego, right? Whether you study Bhagavad Gita or not, you will have some level of ego. So be nice to people, na? Just say nice things about them. I have been following you for a while. I love your videos, or I love your posts. They're so nice. Just say something nice. Make the person smile. Naturally, they will want to read what you have to say. The moment you go after their wallet, what do they do? Please stay away from my wallet. Won't you do that? Somebody comes
Right.
for your wallet, you'll be like, stay away, right? Delhi Chor Bazaar. I was literally walking out. Somebody told me, local guy, please put your phone in your pocket. Here, people just snatch phones from you. It's called Chor Bazaar. I'm like, oh wow, there's actually a place called Chor Bazaar, right?
Yes.
So you don't want that. Nobody wants their wallet to be stolen from them.
Right.
So you want to build trust. You want to appreciate. You want to get guidance and invest them emotionally first before telling them, will you connect me or will you help me in a certain way, right? Be nice.
Right.
It's that simple. Be human.
Yeah, so talking about being nice, what I have felt is you have this superhuman capacity to reply and respond to all the emails that you get, all the social media messages that you get. Is it something that you have instilled in you consciously to be responsive to people? Because I know for sure you get inundated with tons of messages and emails. So what is
Ravi,
your philosophy?
I'll disappoint you a little bit. I'll show you my my email. 58,000 unread emails. Okay, so no, I don't. I cannot keep up.
So then I got lucky.
No, social media I respond. That's the part. So LinkedIn, I definitely try my best to respond. Unless I can see in the subject line itself that seeking funding and whatnot. I respond if it is something interesting. So Instagram and LinkedIn, I respond very, very quickly. If you comment on my posts, I'll respond very, very quickly. If you email me, either it will get responded in 48 hours or maybe a week, or sometimes I don't even get to see it because it gets buried under a lot of pressure, right? So mother, I'm on a call. Being part of being at home. So I'm not a superhuman. I cannot respond to everyone. So emails don't get responded that well. I'll be very honest with you. But yeah, LinkedIn does, Instagram does. That's the best.
But with whatever little that you do, that is like I sometimes get overwhelmed. But somebody in your role where you have to deal with so many people around you, it still is quite.
What happens is, Ravi, what happens is after a while, the questions tend to be the same. There are certain categories of questions, right? Where I am having, so that's why I started my YouTube channel. Because what I was realizing back in the days was people ask the same question. And if I can make one video of it, then I can just send them the video and they get their questions answered. So people will be like, how do I start with zero money? Oh, my parents are not rich. How do I start? Okay, watch. Here's a playlist on how to start with zero money. Oh, product development. How do I get employees? Oh, you don't get employees in a startup. you get co-founders first, right? Here's a video, go watch it. So that way what I've done is I have so this auto tools. So on my iPhone there are certain things. So people I want your mentorship. So if I type in MENT, this is the whole paragraph that it writes with my assistant's phone number and everything. I think I did that too. No, I didn't do it. But generally that's what mentorship guidance. Okay, MENT, boom, answer gone, right? So I have a system where I am doing it, but there is some level of automation that is in place, and also these links and videos and blogs that I have. So it's like, I know what you're going to ask me. I've made videos on it already. Here you go. So that allows me to be sane, because yes, you rightly said, I receive crazy amount of messages. LinkedIn alone, every day I get at least 100 messages, right? But again, they're in that category. And there are the sales guys, the people are like, hey, digital marketing, I'll give you 10,000 followers. And those are the blocks and unfriend and get them out. Very easy.
So what's your vision? What are the next big things on your roadmap in the next few years? So what's the vision of Kolkata Ventures? What is your personal vision? Maybe if you could let us know.
Sure. So to be honest, right now it's survival with 2020. But beyond 2020, I'm looking at 5G technology. I'm looking at unmanned vehicles and extended reality and applications of it is what I'm looking at. Extended reality is a combination of virtual reality and augmented reality. And with 5G technology, it's going to be as clear as day. So for example, my friend in US, he works at Leo Burnett, and he was sharing that they're already having extended reality conference rooms, where people are actually in the holographic projection sitting from China, from Hong Kong, from Japan, and they're having conference as if they're physically present. So teleportation is possible now, right? So that's where I see a huge potential with faster internet and faster ability for processors to process things. We will be looking at amazing connectedness without having to travel, especially with Corona. It's not going to go away. There's going to be more problems, and people are going to travel less, going to be more at home, and going to be more connected throughout the world digitally. So there's a lot of opportunities. I'm looking at that space. I'm also looking at the human aspect, because people are lonely, right? With more technology, more automation, people are becoming sadder. People are breakups are happening. Domestic violence in India is up by 60%, right? It's crazy, right? So there's a lot of need for mental health and emotional well-being, where Bhagavad Gita comes in. So my goal is like technology and Bhagavad Gita put together. If there is some way we can consolidate the two, the wealth of India's past heritage and the wealth of current IT revolution that we have, both needs to go hand in hand, so people can stay sane, be abundant, and be happy.
So how would you...
How that would manifest, I don't know, to be honest.
No. The reason I ask you, there are opportunity spaces. So you talked about 5G, there are extended reality and mental health. So if I'm if I am not yet an entrepreneur, I want to take a plunge. Should I look at the opportunity space and then fit myself into that, or should I look at what my strengths and what my passions are and then look at a certain...
That's right. Look at your own self. You might be gifted by God in certain ways, guitar, maybe, I don't know, whatever skills you have, whatever passion you have, the market, then you look at the market. Okay, I have the passion for cars, let's say, right? So you look at the automotive market, or you have passion for fashion. You look at the fashion market and see in that market, there's a segment. And in that segment, what segment you relate to, where there is a problem that you can solve with your skills, right? And that's where you go after. So you don't try to be everything for everyone. You try to be something for someone, right? So you find a niche, narrow niche, and there you go after that problem with your skills. How can you solve a problem for a passionate market, a market that you're passionate about? That's how you go for it. Not like today it's hot to be healthcare tech and you have no clue about healthcare and you run into it. You're going to fail.
Correct. You talked about the survival in the current crisis, and I do not know how long the crisis is going to be there, especially in India, where job losses are it has touched a million job losses. In this kind of a scenario, what would be your advice to youngsters who are still in navigating in uncertain world? How do they cope cope there? I mean, should they look or hunt for jobs, or should they prepare to build something of their own? How do you advise them?
Number one, get internships. Even if it is not paid, get internships. You learn something, get some skills. Once you're doing internships, side by side, start some kind of gig.
How do you get internships? Like, do you just randomly write to startups and say, hey, I can offer you my skill and this and that?
People idolize people. You can idolize a Vijay Shekhar Sharma, or you can idolize a Ratan Tata. You can idolize whoever, right? And you can just write to them, hey, you seem to be extending yourself on social media. I love what you say. I want to intern with you. I want to learn from you. I get hundreds of messages like that. Of course, I only go for the serious, really, really serious people, and I pay them. I don't do free because I want to make sure that they actually get me results, right? But the point is, if you are not coming from a business family, you don't have a lot of skills, right? So learn the skills by being in an internship. Book knowledge won't help you anywhere. And side by side, start your gig, whether it's drop shipping, affiliate marketing, content marketing, whatever you can do with the laptop, remote, and internet connection, do it. By doing so, you are getting yourself ready for tomorrow, because tomorrow is not about 95 jobs. It's about the gig economy. The small micro businesses we are talking about is going to be a lot more automated, lot less people, and you can accomplish a lot with digitally what's available to you for free or at very low cost. So focus on that rather than going for jobs what you won't get, right? Because right now the situation is tight. People have less money. So if I want to hire somebody, I want to hire a person who's a Maharathi, a person who can do 2 to 10 people's job, right? And if you don't have any skills, you don't have. I cannot afford to hire you. I cannot afford to hire you and have you sit there for 6 months and have a honeymoon period while I'm losing money by paying you salary. I cannot afford that. So you will not get a job if you're not skilled. If you're a 50-year-old or a 19-year-old, you will not get a job, right? So might as well focus on the gig economy, right? And on a part-time basis, consulting, whatever you can do,
Right. The other thing is you don't start doing this after you lose your job. You should be doing this while you are happy and thriving in a job, because you do not know.
Do it whenever you can. If you've lost your job, great. You have a gun to your head. You'll be more successful because you have to survive. If you're doing it before you quit your job, fantastic. Nothing better than that. But either way, do it, because this is the future. Robots, so everything left brain, that is your mechanistic skills that you have learned from your engineering or whatever else, is going to be automated. I have personally built a product, like you mentioned, healthcare automation, right? It literally fired, so they paid us money to fire 90% of their workforce. What those people would do in 7 days, my software does in 1/6 of a second. We were so good, they bought out the whole company. They said, this is great. We want your company. Like, take it, no problem. But the point is, the 10% you should be asking me who couldn't be fired. Right. And that 10% were relationship managers. So those cannot be replaced, because that's right brain. That's human skill. That's communication skill, negotiation skill, selling skill, right? That is something human. That is Atma. That's what Krishna talks about in Bhagavad Gita. That we are superior to matter, right? How are we superior to matter? Because we can experience, we can feel, we can love, we have those feelings. And that's what human beings are all about. So learn to be human again, to be relevant in 2020, 2030, 2040, 2050. Because machines are going to take over everything that can be automated. If you are just an automaton, you're dead. If you are a creative individual, if you can use the right part of your brain, activate the right part of your brain, and you will be surviving, you will be thriving, and you will be relevant.
Great. With that note, thank you again, Avelo. This was an insightful conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. And as I said, your reputation precedes you. So with whatever I heard, I got the taste of it talking to you. Thank you again, Avelo, for your time. And I hope that you achieve all your goals and impact many more people in your life. So thanks again, Avelo.
Very grateful.
See you then. Bye-bye.
Take care.